Hey guys, welcome back to Morning Chats. I know it's been a really long time, but I was just thinking today about this series and how it's, the beating heart of this channel. I'm not coming to you right now from a joyful place, but it is a real place, and I want to open up and share about it because I really want to work through this. Normally I don't script out or, plan it to a T what I'm going to be sharing with you whenever I show up for a morning chat. But today I actually wanted to share a journal entry that I wrote not too long ago before sitting down. Because, man, earlier I was in such a shitty mood. And instead of just letting myself dwell in that, I rolled out my yoga mat and I did 50 burpees. And during that process, I was really just letting all my thoughts flow. I was reminded of my friend Gail, and I remember something that she said to me that really stuck with me. And what she said was, sometimes you just gotta get on your kitchen floor. You just have to sprawl out and, either eat cake or cry or curse or pray or whatever you need to do. Sometimes you just need to get on the kitchen floor. Even if your kids or your spouse come over and they ask something of you, it's like, not now. Like, I just need to be on this floor. And I was thinking about that today while I was writing this. Anyway, so I just want to preface that this journal entry is pretty messy because I just dumped whatever I was thinking. But here goes. I'm practicing how to tell my story with what I'm learning in my self-coaching program. The story of my circumstances without the drama. Because right now my head is filled with drama. And I just want to share a few of the thoughts that are in my head in two ways. The first way is going to be the more raw, annoyed way. And then the second way will be in a more neutral way, just stating the facts without the drama. Okay, so some of the thoughts in my head right now are, I hate the soul suckers on Facebook. The ones calling me a scammer and flakers. And what I mean by that is, because we're getting ready to move, we've posted a lot of our stuff onto some of the Facebook groups here in Seoul. And yeah, I'm sure I've mentioned this in the past too, because we've sold stuff on Facebook before. And man, you meet some very weird and interesting people. And some of them, I guess, I have a hard time with some of them because I feel like, if you say you're gonna meet me at a certain time and, I work my plans around showing up to meet you and to make sure that the things I'm selling or passing on to you is in good condition, it's just disrespectful not to show up, right? Not to show up when you say you will, and then just like not hearing from that person at all. So I've had to do a lot of like emotional boundary work on that because I was finding myself just getting so irritated. And for some other things, like we've posted our TV on the Facebook groups and some other electronics, and I've been just waking up to comments of like people who've like never met me or interacted with me, just like telling people like that I'm trying to scam them and never ever to send money to me and etc etc. And honestly, like if I'm at an okay place, I can just laugh about it or block the comments or whatever, but it's just been adding to my frustration of trying to pass our things along. So that's the first thing that I wrote down. The second thing I wrote is my calendar is too full with social engagements. And, as an introvert, sometimes it can be very overwhelming to, constantly have appointments with people. I can't even coach my sister right now. And I had to stop coaching her because now that daylight savings time has ended, I would normally coach her at 9 a.m. her time, which makes it 11 p.m. my time. And by then, like, I'm just so wiped. Yeah, by 11 p.m. I just want to be in bed and I just want to turn my brain off. So I'm a little bit bummed that I can't be there for her right now. The next thought is I have acne because I'm stress eating sugar. Like a week and a half ago, oh man, like some nights after dinner, like I will just eat like a bag of candy. Like why? Okay, next thought is Casey Neistat just uploaded a video about how he wants to start a podcast with his wife talking about their marriage and shit. Like his stuff is gonna be so much better. Like why even bother sharing our story, And the last thought I have is we're gonna go broke. Okay, so now here's the neutral way of, sharing the facts of the situation without the drama. One, we're selling our stuff on Facebook and all earnings are going towards our moving expenses. 2, I'm so lucky to be very loved by the people in our lives. 3, I had the honor of coaching my sister almost every day for 2.5 months. Regarding my acne, my body is properly functioning. And just speaking of my body functioning properly, we recently went for like a medical checkup. Before we go in for the checkup, they asked for a stool sample. So they prepared this little kit for us, and part of that kit is there's this slip of paper that you tape onto your toilet, and then you poop onto this strip of paper, and then there's a little cup, and on the lid there's like a little spoon attached. So you're supposed to scrape a little part of your poop and then put it into the cup, label it, and then, you know, they send it off into the labs to like run tests on it or whatever. The first time I attempted to do that, I actually ended up, my slip of paper fell into the toilet. And so what I had to do was I had to take like a pile of toilet paper and I had to literally poop onto my hand and then to scoop it out. And anyway, so Brandon and I both had to do that. He used his strip of paper. And then we had to take these little bags of poop to the hospital. But when we got to the hospital and we parked, I was the one carrying the bags of shit, and I left it in the back seat. And Brandon and I, you know, we parked, we got out of the car, we're walking into the hospital, and he was like, "Do you have the bags of poop?" And I was like, "Shit." So I got my medical checkup results back, and I am like so healthy right now. This is the first time I'd actually heard the doctor say like, "You're actually underweight." And, you know, that's not a good thing right now because my body is seriously lacking muscles. I think the recommendation for me was like, you need to gain at least like 12 to 13 pounds of muscle. But I'm in the camp of skinny fat people where even though I don't look overweight, I know that I have, you know, like more body fat on my frame than is necessary. But yeah, like everything, like even they checked my hormones. I've always thought I had like a crazy, you know, hormone imbalance, but like apparently that's not the case. Anyway, I'm really thankful for my clean bill of health. And I was just reminded like, hey, me breaking out because I ate too much sugar is just an indication that my body is properly functioning. So that was the thought I wrote down. My body is properly functioning. Thought about Casey Neistat, very neutral. Casey Neistat uploaded a video today. And the last thought about we're gonna go broke, my more neutral stance is I can always get a job. So I think I want to title this morning chat Fighting for Joy. What I mean by fighting for joy is the other day an acquaintance made a comment that I found a bit obnoxious. He asked why we were moving to Hawaii and what we're gonna do there. And as I was sharing our story, like the new business we want to set up with me going into coaching, documenting our growth, etc., you know, God calling us to Maui after us praying about it for over a year, he said something like, oh yeah, it must have been a real hard calling to obey, you know, like going to Hawaii, because who doesn't want to go to Hawaii? And, you know, he could have totally said this in a jokey way, but I chose to take it like a jab. Probably because of the mental state I was in. Like, dude, it's not all rainbows and butterflies, trust me. You know, I'm terrified. This move goes against my very flesh. The flesh that likes to plan and have everything set up before moving into it. I frankly have no idea what our future is going to bring, and I am anxious as hell every day. Then I thought, you know, maybe I shouldn't share too much about my struggles, the struggles I'm having right now. Maybe they're starting to sound too much like first world problems. And then I remembered this is exactly how I felt when I was, you know, pretty miserable during our first year of marriage. The close friends that I'd made in Korea, you know, they finished up their teaching contracts and they moved back to the States. All of my close friends are all in New York, well, mostly in New York now. And yeah, I just had no close community, like in like physical proximity here. I didn't have a job. And it was the first time I was unemployed after, you know, working since I was 15. So I was really, really lost. I was fully dependent on my husband to support us. And it was just a really lonely place for me to be. But I remember I didn't open up about my loneliness because for someone else, my situation was ideal. You know, I get to live in Seoul, in Korea, in a really affluent neighborhood. I'm married to the man of many ladies' dreams. And I don't have to get a job to live comfortably. So I pretty much stayed in silence through my suffering. What I know about myself is that I tend to get wrapped up in all the little things and negativity. and I really don't like to burden anyone with my problems. But honestly, by God's grace, I was introduced to what it means to be vulnerable and to open up and seek help. Because you never know who may be going through the same struggles, or who may inspire you, or the unlikely friendships that may develop. And as an act of vulnerability, I started morning chats. And maybe I'm sharing all of this right now more so for me than for you, to remind me of the bigger purpose of why I'm here right now. Lately, Brandon and I have been butting heads, and we actually fought this morning, and that totally contributed to my crappy mood. But yeah, as we're getting ready to transition to our next stage, we have been butting heads. I've been impatient with him many times. I place unspoken expectations on him. I've been resentful because I'm the one dealing with the Facebook soul suckers. And I worry a lot about what it's going to be like for us to, spend so much time together, traveling for so long, to go into business together. We've never worked together professionally, because Brandon has his 9-to-5 job, and, I'm doing my teaching and YouTube and freelancing thing. So yeah, I often find myself wanting to crawl under my covers and to just eat pizza until I want to throw up. But thank God for my coaching program and Brooke Castillo, my coach, and for Jess of Stark Skincare. She's the one that introduced me to Brooke Castillo in a conversation that we were having where I was sharing some of my struggles with her. Because this coaching thing has been my life raft. I've been working through my negative thoughts and doubts by simply writing them out. I do this thing called thought downloads, which I learned from Brooke. Basically, it's like in the mornings, I sit down and I set a timer for about 5 minutes, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. And I just write down all of my thoughts on paper, like the good and the bad, the ugly, whatever. I just write everything down. And then I just look at them without judging them or beating myself up. I find that I'm always wanting to declutter my physical space, but I'm learning that I really need to declutter my mental space, and that's much more urgent right now because I know that I am just so paralyzed and crippled by so many of the negative thoughts that, I keep believing in, so much so that a lot of them have turned into truths for me. I realize how much I'm only hurting myself, and I'm totally losing sight of where God's calling me to be, what he wants to use me for, what he wants to use our marriage for. And I find myself frequently asking, why am I doing this? Why am I stepping out in faith to walk away from the very comfortable life that I'm living right now? And I want to answer this, with all the bullshit Christianese aside, the language that Christians speak when, it tends to come off sounding very holy and righteous, and I'm not about that. So anyway, my answer is simply, I want to know Jesus. Not because he's calling us to paradise and because he's promised an easy life for us if we choose to follow him, but because he's teaching me so much through my own immaturity and anger and shortcomings. He keeps covering me where I fall short. He's surrounding me with amazing people in my life, and he wants me to help the people he places in my life. Not because I'm great and capable, but because he loves me and he's created me in a unique way. And as cheesy as that sounds, and as much as I want to roll my eyes at it, to deny my gifts is to deny him. And my selfish ass is here only because of him and what he's done through me. So I'm gonna fight for joy, one step at a time. I'm gonna work through my hurtful thoughts and beliefs about myself because there's a fucking bigger mission here. For whatever reason you guys feel connected to me, I'm even just thinking about the ladies that I met at the meetup this past weekend. First of all, if you came to the meetup, thank you so much. I know I kept saying that all night, but I really, really want to express what you guys have done for me, even though, you guys were all saying you should be thanking me, but that's not the case. And you have blessed me beyond measure. And I'm so thankful for you ladies. But as I was writing this, I was just reminded of my husband that night. So we got this table, and it was a fairly large, there were 3 or 4 tables together. And I think the whole setup could have sat at least 15 or 16 people. There were 10 of us. But I remember I was like wanting to talk to every single person, and I wanted to know everything about everyone just because they've been watching me and I just wanted to learn about them. And I was just, you know, in my element and just so excited to be there. And I remember Brendan, you know, came over and he was like, hey, well, one of the things I said to him was, I wonder if we could sit somewhere else so that we can be even closer together, just because we were like spread apart. And so he was, you know, looking around the second floor, and he was trying to find a better situation for us so we could sit closely. And he was like, hey, I'm gonna go see if we can seat us, do your thing. And because he couldn't find a cozier situation for us, he was like, hey, why don't we just all move down so we can sit closer together, and then, you know, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna take all of your orders. I'm gonna go downstairs, like put in your drink orders, and, you know, I want to treat you guys because we're so thankful that you came out to spend time with us. And I know in that moment he just wanted me to be fully present and for me to just, you know, like, do your thing, babe, like love these women that came out here for you and just connect with them like I know you love to do. And I was just reminded of Jesus's heart in that situation. And I remember one of the things that Tim Keller said that is one of my favorite things, and I actually have the book in front of me. This is from The Meaning of Marriage. And he says, you know, marriage was designed to be a reflection of the saving love of God for us in Jesus Christ. This is why the gospel helps us to understand marriage, and marriage helps us to understand the gospel. And he says, you know, besides our relationship with God, the most profound relationship you can have on earth is the one with your spouse. A relationship that is so rewarding, also very painful, but very wondrous and all of that. And I was reminded of Jesus in that situation because, you know, leading up to the meetup, with everything else that I have going on in my life, I remember like thinking, oh my gosh, I have to pick the, you know, right meetup location, one that could accommodate all of us. And, you know, I don't even know how many people are going to show up. Like, what if no one shows up? What if too many people show up? And so I am thinking like, okay, what place in Gangnam on a Saturday night is going to accommodate, you know, 10 to 20 people? And I remember just doing my Google search and trying to pick a place, and like I blindly chose the place that we ended up meeting on Saturday. I've never been there, but I picked that place, and we show up on Saturday. Beautiful space. I was like, oh yeah, I really like the aesthetics, and the music wasn't too loud. It was spacious but still cozy. And then we happened to go upstairs to the second floor, and to our left was this huge space. And it was like, oh my gosh, I was just floored before anyone even showed up. It was like, it was as if God was saying like, okay, don't worry about all the little details. Just show up and love my people, and I will take care of the rest. I just remember thinking in that moment like, wow, I really do get in the way of, you know, the important work that needs to be done. Not only am I reminded of, you know, God's provision, but it was like I got to really experience it in this human way from my partner. And, you know, it wasn't like Brandon was trying to be like sweet or trying to impress anyone, but like that's him. Like, I know who he is, and for him, he's about the people, and he just wants, you know, as much as he says that I love people and I want to make people feel comfortable and this and that, but like the way that he showed up for me, like, man, I was just like, he was so sexy in that moment when, you know, he was just quietly going around taking drink orders. And the place we went to, it was like their specialty was like craft beer, and there were like 30 different choices of beer, which is very overwhelming. And some of the girls, myself included, were not like beer connoisseurs, so, you know, they were like, oh, I don't know what I like, I can't choose. And Brandon was like just asking his questions and asking like, you know, do you like more of the fruity beer or the bitter ones? And he's like, okay, I got you, I'm gonna order something for you. And he was just going around and just like taking care of these women that I just met, but I knew I love them, and I want to invest in them, and I want to keep showing up. I'm reminded of this as we're fighting. We still haven't made up. I'm probably going to call him after this. Okay, so back to my journal entry and to what I was saying. One of the ladies that came to the meetup, she just started crying because I glanced over at her. And she said, she told me that she loves this space that I created here on my YouTube channel because she dubbed my channel as it's a come as you are space. You know, you don't have to have it all figured out. You are loved and accepted, and you're not alone. Because I sure as shit didn't have anything figured out when I sat down to film my first morning chat. I showed up with acne and full-blown insecurity, and you guys joined me, and you welcomed me, and you shared secrets with me, you accepted me, and so that's where I'm at right now. I'm like shaking. I don't know why I'm so nervous about sharing this, especially after telling you that I pooped into my own hand. But yeah, I'm gonna fight. You guys, I'm gonna fight. And Brandon and I, we have some really exciting things coming up. We brainstormed many of the things we want to open up about, you know, our marriage, some of the fun stuff, some of the struggles. Last night I was editing our vlog from this weekend, which hopefully will be up soon. The editing process is taking a little bit longer than I thought. But yeah, he was over here at his desk and just like writing out a bunch of the topics that we want to cover. All the lessons we've been learning and the things that, you know, we're still processing and working through. And why our heart really is in, you know, wanting to help couples in their marriages, whether you're newly married or you've been married for a long time and maybe you're in a lonely place, or maybe you've just given up and you're just getting by, whatever that is. We really want to share everything that we've been learning. So yeah, I'm really excited. I hope you guys will stay tuned. Okay, so that's where I'm at today, and that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope at the very least, whatever you're going through, you're not feeling alone or ashamed about whatever it is. Thank you, as always, for watching, and let me know how you're doing. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.